Hello everyone, welcome to our week 13. So in this week we're going to conducting a usability test with your participant. Right, so now you already done with the first 4 phrases in UX framework. So we're moving on to our last step, which is the test phase. Yeah, so what is usability test? A usability test is the research method that assesses how easy it is for participants to complete your task in the design. During the usability test, researchers follow participants as they're interacting with the product. So the user's feedback will help you to make important improvements to the user experience of your app. So that's why this is a very important step in UX design. So for our usability test, you are going to recruit at least 5 participants outside of the class, which means you will not recruit your classmates, right? So find 5 participants who haven't used your app before, that who doesn't know this project at all, so your app will be a new app for them. Also when you recruit the participants, make sure to find a diverse user group, right? To find 5 people, they can they have the different lifestyle, they are from different background. Yeah, so one of the requirement for the test is you are going to record the test, because later on we will have an assignment to talk about how you can summarize your test result. So that will use your recordings from the test. So the test could be conducting in person or remote. So you may need 2 devices, one for them to play with your app, and the other device you need is to record, right? You can brought 2 phones, or you can make them use your laptop to go through the app and use your phone to record their actions. So for in-person sessions, I capture only the participants' finger movement on the phone screen, right? So do not record their face, only record their fingers and the screen. For the remote sessions, you can use the screen recording. You can ask them to share the screen when they are using your app, right? So you can record the screen. So each test would be around 45 minutes or shorter, right? Which include several steps that we'll go through each step later. Yeah, so usually the usability test is structured into 6 steps from start to finish. So on the first phrase, first you are going to build a rapport with the participants. You have to thank them for coming to participate in your test, and also ask consent to take both audio and video recordings of this of this interview, of this test. Explain that this test is only used for a class project. Just make sure that just let them know that their personal information will be protected. You will not share any of their information, and the video recording will not be shared outside of the class. It's only used for class assignments, right, to help them feel secure about their privacy. Yeah, and also remind that their feedback on the product has the potential to help you to improve the usability design of the project. So it's very important to let them know that they can be open and honest, provide you with their honest feedback. Yeah, so here is a example script that you can refer to, right? So you can start with this paragraph. And also here is a YouTube video that's showing you the example of how to start with a usability test. So you can watch the video and also read this script so you know how to start your conversation with your user. Yeah, so before starting the official test, you may start by asking your participants some basic questions about their life experience that related to your project topic. For example, if it's a coffee store app, you might ask the things like, do you have a favorite coffee shop, or do you usually order just for yourself or for a group? So these questions help you to gain an insight into your users' habits and lifestyle that are related to your product, right? So if their lifestyle closely aligns with your product, they become a highly valuable target audience. Yeah, and which make their feedback especially valuable. Yeah, so usually in this step 2, two basic lifestyle questions would be enough. And it's also a really good way to start your conversation with your user. So for the step 3, you're going to introduce about your app and this study, right? To introduce about the project background, like you can say that we are creating a new app to do something for people, and we need to find out if the main user experience is easy for users to use, right? If my design is could benefit users and make them comfortable to go through my task, right? Somehow just kind of introduce this project background and also talk about your research goal. I want to determine if users can complete the core task within the prototype of my app, determine if my app is difficult to use. Let them know about the basic background of this study. So for the step 4, you can establish the ground rules for the study. So you might want participants to use the think aloud method, meaning that you tell them that they do not have to keep quiet during the test, right? So they are feel free to make any comment at any time during the test. So for example, during the test, if they feel frustrating about any task, they can say that aloud, right? So for example, if they cannot find a button for something, they can tell you during the test, I can't find a button for something, I'm confused about something, and this task is easy because or I'm trying hard to looking for a menu, or they have trouble to complete the task. Just tell them they are free to share their thoughts and their feeling during the test. Yeah. So then the step 5 is we're going to start the official test, right? So let participants use your app by following the task list one by one. So while they are using your app, it's time for you to record their hand movement on the screen. Yeah, and ask following questions after the tasks are done, right? So follow-up question is always necessary especially for some complicated task or the task that confused participants. So whenever your participants looks really struggling when they complete a particular task, you will immediately ask them, what's in your mind now? Was there anything in the design that you find unclear or confusing? And what are you trying to looking for, right? You can try to communicate with them during the task, especially when they met any problem. Yeah, so for example, task 1, pick a date and time to schedule a dog walker. So your follow-up questions could be, how easy or difficult was this task to complete? Is there anything you would change about the process of scheduling a dog walker? Right, so you can ask these questions right after they complete the task. Yeah, and you can ask the same follow questions after each task is done to ask them share their immediately thoughts. Yeah, so for the step 6, you are going to give them a chance to share the last thoughts about your design, right? You can make them share about the overall experience by using this app and ask them, do they have any additional comments on the app's usability and visual design. Yeah, and also, of course, at last, thank them for attending this test and let them know that their feedback is incredibly valuable and they can lead to meaningful improvements in your project. Yeah, so these are the 6 steps you're going to follow for each one of your usability tests. Yeah, so after you've done with your usability test, we're going to do assignment, which you're going to visualize the key takeaways from usability tests. So that's why recording is super important, right? We're always going to use the recordings by completing this assignment. So for the first thing you're going to do is to build user demographics. So you will have 5 participants, right? So we were going to write down some basic descriptions of your participant. So you do not have to share their name or photo. Yeah, but you can use their real information about their age, their occupation, or any other information, their lifestyle that related to your app. Yeah, so okay, also you can use those icons to represent your participants, right? You can put some icons just exactly look like this. So you can name them as participant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do not include their real name. Yes. So second, you are going to generate a form to record the result of your usability test. So for this column is your task list, right? Sorry, this form is quite small. Yeah, so test 1, 2, 3, right? So this is your task list. And for each of your tasks, you are going to, according to the recordings, you are going to write about what's the expected navigation of this task. So what kind of navigation you designed and what's user's navigation path. So from here you can see if the users are going into the right path that you expected for, right? What your design and what's user's navigation path. And does user make any comments on this particular task, right? So if yes, you will write down what they say. If not, you can keep it blank. And also you may count the time user spent on this specific task, right? So yeah, so write down the time for each task for users to complete. Yeah, and also the number of the arrow. Does they make any error when they're trying to complete this task? Yeah, and also did they ask you for any assistance? If they're struggling to complete this task, they may tell you and you have to help them out. So how many times does that happen on each task? And at last, have they complete this task? Yeah, so you're going to record this information for each of your tasks. By creating, you can create this form in any software you prefer to use. Yes, you can just follow this format and fill in your own information. And yeah, so the third thing we're going to do is we're going to create two charts. So the two charts just record, it's just to show the time to complete, users complete on each task. So you can create a symbol or color circle for user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And create a chart. So for the task 1, how long does it take for each users to complete, right? So this column is record the times, and the horizontal line is recording the task 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, for each task, how long does each participants takes, right? Just put their icons on the right spot on the chart. Yeah, so this is a very straightforward way to show people that the result from the task. And the second chart is about arrow users made for each task. Right, for the task 1, the performance of the 5 users, right? How many times of arrow did they make? Task 2, how many times arrow does each one of them made? Put this on the chart. Yeah, so by creating these two charts, you may see, you may figure out your problem task, right? For some of the tasks, most of the users they made errors, or most of users takes really long time to complete. That means this task may have some issue, may have some usability problems that you should consider to fix later. Yeah, so you can choose the color or the icons you want to use for your 5 users. You do not have to be exactly as same as this example, right? Yeah, so I also recommend you to download Figma app and Adobe XD app on your phone. So in this way, you log into your account by using the app, and it will give you a more realistic experience, like you're using a real app. And you can also make your users test with the phone, right? Yeah, so these are our usability test assignments. Yeah, so for our week 13, you're going to, so this is the lecture PowerPoint. You can always go back to review. So on November 10th, the Monday, you can use the in-class time to complete a usability test script. So before you're conducting the real usability test, you will generate a list, a script or notes for your usability test. Follow the step 1 through step 6 as we discussed in the lecture, right? Yeah, and you can try to prepare what you will say to user at each stage. So you do not need to script every single word. Just you can create a cue cards or brief notes to remind you of the key points for each step. Yeah, so you may also print out your script and use it during the task. Yeah, so once finished, you will going to upload a PDF file of your script here, or a Word document. Yeah, so actually I post an example of usability test script. You can see in this example, step 1, what you're going to say. Actually, you do not have to be that detailed, right? But it's just a really nice example. And for the step 2, ask basic questions. What questions you prepare to ask them, and how do you want to start your conversation? For the step 3, introduce the app and the study. Right, how you're going to think about how you're going to introduce the app and study to your participants. And then step 4, establish the ground rules for the study. Ask them to share anything. They're free to share anything during the test. Right. Step 5, start with the task. Right, you can write down what kind of following questions you want to ask users for after each task is done. Right. So actually, the following questions could be same. Right. Yeah, and also the last step is ask some last questions. What's your overall experience about the app? Do you have any additional comments? Right, thank you for attending. Right, so this is a really nice script that you can follow during the usability test. Right, so you can submit yours by November 10th. Yeah, so this is the assignment for the Monday you're going to do. And for our week 13 actually is a usability test week. So from November 10th to November 19th, you can use this time to conduct your usability test with 5 users outside the class. So you can conduct the test remotely or in person, but make sure that you will record the test, right? The process of the test. So this assignment will be due on November 19th. So by November 19th, you will submit a PDF file that include 5 screenshots from the recordings of your usability test as a proof that you complete your test and also you recorded each session. That is just a proof. Yeah. So also on November 19th, so during week 14, you're going to complete the usability test report. You're going to create a several page PDF files that including the content we just talked about in the lecture, right? So on the page 1, you're going to lay out the user demographics you created, right? So here is the example we talked about in the lecture. So you should have 5 participants. For each one of them, you can use a different icon to represent them. Page 2 and 6 would be each page you will include one test, right? So for each of your participants, you will include one form for them, right, to record their performance for each task. So we will have 5 participants, so you will have 5 forms. Yeah, for the page 7 to 8, you will create 2 charts to display the task, to test the result. One is for the time to complete each task for each user, and also another for the arrow per task that each user made, right? You can use unique icons to represent each users and place them on the chart. So here are the 2 examples, right? So you can decide the style of the chart, and you can decide what kind of icons you want to use for each participant. Yeah, so on the last page, you're going to summarize your problem task based on what you get from the usability test, right? So you're going to use a paragraph to describe your problem task. that you identified during the usability test, and also you will display the design pages for each of your problem tasks, right? Kind of describe on what the problems are, and also you can include how do you want to improve it later. Yeah, so you're going to submit this usability test report as a PDF on November 19th. Yeah, so this is about our usability test assignment. Basically, you will use 2 weeks to complete them.